It was the kind of silence that didn't come from peace, but from tension so thick it seemed like the walls themselves were listening. You could hear pencils freezing mid-air, students holding their breath, and the sharp whisper of disbelief escaping a few lips. In room 2B of Clayton High School, a place where books and knowledge were supposed to reign, something ugly had just begun. Before we continue, if you are watching our video for the first time, you're highly welcome to Elliot Stories. Please bless and support us by hitting that subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell to get notified for more edifying stories coming your way tomorrow and never to miss any. Share to friends who love stories filled with twists and morals, and loved ones who cherish respect and justice no matter the cost. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story travels. And to our unique constant viewers, our high-esteemed subscribers, our lovely new viewers, and our first-time subscribers, thank you deeply for being part of our growth. A white boy with flame-colored hair and a clenched jaw stood at the center of the classroom, his fist wrapped around the arm of a quiet black girl who had just transferred in. She had been sitting by the window, blending into the backdrop until he yanked her out of her chair with a sneer. "You don't belong here," he hissed, dragging her toward the door. The girl didn't scream. She didn't cry. Her name was Nia, and this was her first week at Clayton High. The classroom was frozen. Even Mr. Halvorsen, their math teacher, stood momentarily stunned. But Nia, she did something no one expected. She pulled her arm back with enough force to stumble the boy backward. Then she stood tall, staring directly into his face. Her voice, calm yet unshakable, echoed through the silent class. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it." Some students gasped. Others blinked. A few muttered beneath their breath. No one had ever talked back to Jackson Mayers like that. He wasn't just a bully, he was the principal's nephew, captain of the soccer team, and the loudest voice in the hallway. Jackson lunged again, this time trying to push her. But Nia ducked, sidestepped, and swept his legs in one fluid motion. The bully crashed to the ground, his pride bruised more than anything else. Laughter erupted. Applause followed. Mr. Halvorsen finally stepped in, but it was too late. The moment had etched itself in the school's memory. Later that day, Nia was summoned to the office. So was Jackson. But instead of being punished, the footage from the classroom told the truth. Jackson had instigated everything. For once, the system didn't back him. He was suspended. But that was just the beginning. Word spread quickly. Everyone wanted to know who Nia was. She had moved to town from Atlanta, her father a college professor, her mother a nurse. She had grown up with discipline, chessboards, and late-night math problems with her father. She didn't just know how to defend herself, she knew how to conquer. The following week, an announcement stirred the school. Clayton High is to compete with Westfield Academy next week in the annual Math Crown competition. Westfield Academy, known citywide for being unbeatable. For the past 7 years, they had claimed the trophy. No one had dared dream of stealing it back. Until now. Mr. Halvorsen approached Nia after class. "I heard you've competed in math tournaments before," he said carefully. "We need someone who can go head-to-head with Westfield's best. You interested?" Nia blinked. "Absolutely." The entire school turned its eyes to her. While some still whispered behind her back, the atmosphere shifted. For the first time in years, Clayton High had hope. She trained late into the evenings. Mr. Halvorsen printed extra worksheets. Her teammates, initially hesitant, quickly grew to respect her intellect and calm leadership. She wasn't loud or flashy. She just knew what she was doing. The day of the competition arrived. The entire student body was buzzing. Even the principal, who had long protected his nephew Jackson, showed up wearing the school's colors and trying to look supportive. Westfield entered the auditorium in matching blazers, their coach smirking with confidence. Their lead, a genius named Lyle Reynolds, had never been beaten. Nia sat at the head of the Clayton team, her braids tied neatly behind her head, her eyes focused. She glanced once at her teammates and smiled. "We've got this." The rounds began. The first few questions were simple algebra, both teams matching each other in score. Then came geometry, calculus, probability. The pressure was immense. Westfield surged ahead at one point, but Nia pulled them back with a daring answer that none of her teammates understood until the score was announced. And then, the final tiebreaker question. A question only geniuses could even attempt. A silence fell over the auditorium. The proctor read it out, and the timer started. Westfield scribbled. Lyle whispered furiously to his teammates. Nia didn't move. She just stared at the board. 20 seconds in, she picked up her marker and wrote a single line of reasoning. Then, a second line. Then she stopped. "Done," she said softly. The judge walked over, checked the board, and stepped back with widened eyes. "Correct." Clayton High erupted in cheers. The auditorium shook. Students screamed. Teachers high-fived. And Westfield Academy? Their faces told the entire story. It was the first time they had lost. Nia didn't cry. She just smiled as her team lifted her onto their shoulders. Cameras flashed. The trophy was handed over. Her name was etched into the school's history. The following Monday, the very hallway where Jackson had once dragged her now stood still as he approached. He walked up to her as she stood by her locker. "Nia," he said, his voice lower than usual. I'm sorry. For everything." She turned slowly. For a moment, no one knew what she would say. But she just nodded. "Let's do better." And with that, the dam broke. Students began talking about racism openly. Teachers introduced diversity discussions in class. A mural was painted on the school's west wall, depicting unity, strength, and a young girl with braids holding a math trophy. Nia's presence had not just won a competition, it had changed the culture. In the months that followed, Clayton High wasn't just a school, it became a beacon. Other schools took notice. Nia was invited to speak at district education summits. Her story made the local news. Not because she was some larger-than-life superhero, but because she was human, flawed, humble, and determined. Her classmates no longer saw her as the black girl who fought Jackson. She became the girl who helped them believe in something again. The girl who proved intelligence knows no color. And in time, Jackson became an ally. He joined diversity clubs, apologized in front of the school during a general assembly, even took part in organizing a charity math event with Nia for underprivileged kids. Nia taught them all that real strength doesn't always come in the form of fists or words. It lies in how you rise above hate, how you respond with brilliance, and how you choose unity over revenge. Moral lesson. Discrimination, in any form, poisons growth. When we let go of ignorance, listen without prejudice, and open our hearts to one another's differences, we build communities that rise beyond their history. True change comes not through violence or resentment, but through courage, wisdom, and resilience. Nia didn't just defeat a bully, she defeated a mindset. And in doing so, she reminded us that every child, regardless of their background, deserves dignity, respect, and the freedom to shine. This story was humbly crafted and brought to you by Elliott Stories. Catch you on the next one.